That's right, you guys don't. Good evening. It's 6:30. We're going to start the public hearing. This is the Board of Education public hearing, May 4th, 2015. And it's a public hearing on the proposed school boundary realignment recommendations for school year 2016-17. And if you're speaking with staff in the back, feel free to continue the conversation. And even if you haven't signed in, I'll give everyone an opportunity to speak if you would like to. Okay, tonight's hearing is designed to allow members of the community an opportunity to speak publicly about their support or concern over recommendations to realign school boundaries. More than 2 years ago, the Board of Education issued a charge to the Facilities Enrollment Advisory Committee, known affectionately as FEAC, to examine school boundaries across the county in preparation for the construction of the new Jonathan Hager Elementary School and the closure of both Winter Street Elementary and Conacajig Elementary Schools. Following that, FEAC met 11 times and considered 43 possible attendance zone realignment options, a process that has been reported numerous times in the local media and through the WCPS website. In June of 2014, FEAC presented a progress report to the Board of Education in a public meeting. At that time, the board offered feedback to the group in anticipation of the final report that was expected in January of this year. On January 6th, the group presented recommendations to the board in a public work session. At that time, the board requested a further review, and the FEAC committee reconvened and presented its updated recommendations to the board on April 7th. This additional time provided the committee a chance to refine recommendations based on the most up-to-date enrollment projections. After the board accepted the report of FEAC, the superintendent was then able to issue his final report to the board on April 16th, which was presented publicly on April 21st at that Board of Education meeting. The report from FEAC and the superintendent represents the context for tonight's hearing, and those recommendations are what the board will be discussing on June 2nd when we plan to take a formal vote on the boundary realignment. To date, the school system has communicated these recommendations to the affected families through the Connect 5 system, through phone calls, emails, and text messages. This process has happened 2 times, once on April 21st and again on April 30th. At the same time, affected schools have partnered with the Public Information Office to disseminate similar information through social media, direct letters sent home to parents. Additionally, the WCPS website and Facebook pages, board work sessions, business meetings, advertising in the Herald Mail newspaper, and extensive coverage in the local media have all been ways the board and WCPS have communicated the public hearing and redistricting recommendations. Now, in accordance with our board policy KD, tonight's public hearing is scheduled for a period of 2.5 hours. Persons speaking as individuals will be allotted 3 minutes. Persons representing an organization will be allotted 5 minutes. Speakers are encouraged to provide a minimum of 9 copies of their testimony to the board. If you do not have copies of your testimony, you may submit it at any time. Keeping in mind that a public hearing is intended to provide the public with an opportunity to share their ideas, reactions, and support concerning the announced topic, Board of Education members will only be recognized by the presiding officer to correct misinformation, to add context information that the speaker may not have provided or to ask for clarification. Following a speaker's presentation, a staff member may be designated to address your individual concerns. I will call each speaker forward in the order that is presented on the sign-in sheet. When that list is exhausted, other speakers may be recognized from the audience, and as I said, I will certainly do that. So, with that, we will begin with the first individual signed in, and Aaron Stevens. Welcome. And you're welcome to begin, yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Michelle Buderbaugh. We moved to our current residence in 2009, which is Brightwood East Acres. We were told by our real estate that we would be going to Boonesboro and along with the rest of the neighborhood. In 2012, my daughter started school at RAM, which then was the first redistricting that I was aware of because now I have kids. Just recently, this current redistricting, I found out that I'm actually not grouped with my entire neighborhood, as in out of the 192 houses, only 6 houses have been excluded from the neighborhood, and we will be going to RAM, like I'm actually staying, RAM, E. Russell Hicks, and South High, which was a shock to me because this entire time I thought we would be going to Boonesboro Middle and Boonesboro High. I understand when neighborhoods need to be divided by half or by a third due to student ratio and school overcrowding. But I would just like to understand the logical reason to leave out 6 houses. And out of the 6 houses, I'm the only house with children. So my 3 kids are the only 3 kids that will be going to a complete different school district from their friends, people who we go trick-or-treating with, people who we have community barbecue with. My understanding as I talk to my neighbors who are now in their 60s is that they never had kids within school age. So this was never an issue for them. As I spoke to the awesome and amazing Chad, who explained things to me.
Awesome and amazing Chad.
Yes, he is very helpful. The boundary lines were actually drawn before Brightwood Acres was built. So they did not know that the 6 houses which belonged to Brightwood Acres would sit right there because we lived right across the street from the park. So what I'm asking is for you guys to take a look at this. It's basically a nook. Oh, I forgot to give you your papers.
Thanks. And if you have some extra, we thank you. Appreciate it.
If you look at the maps, it's literally a nook that it's carved out for those 6 houses on Mount Etna Road. I included from my real estate neighbor the entire neighborhood property to show you that there are 192 houses. We're the only 6 that are excluded. And I've also obtained signatures from my 5 neighbors to include them because it wouldn't be right if I just moved myself since we're all in the same neighborhood.
Is that a copy or is that the original?
No, you can have it. Yes.
That's fine.
So I'm hoping that for elementary school and for middle and high school, that you guys would please look at the map again and look at the stats. And I want to belong in my subdivision. I want my kids to be with their friends. And so that's why I'm here, for a logical answer. Yep.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, my name's Aaron Stevens, and I live in Funkstown, and I am currently, my third and fourth children are enrolled in MK Daub. All of my children have gone to MK Daub, and we love that school community. My youngest son will be in fourth grade when the proposed alignments would be implemented. And I'm asking that the realignment dates be reconsidered so that children who are still or who are currently enrolled in school can stay in their school communities until they would normally graduate from that elementary school. I understand the growth in the county and appreciate that Washington County Public Schools is expanding resources, but I don't believe that children who are currently enrolled in a school community should have to transfer halfway through their current career. I believe that Washington County Public Schools should continue to provide transportation to the children currently enrolled in a particular school so that they can continue to attend that school until they would have exited the school. I'd like to say that my family chose to live in Funkstown so that my children can attend MK Daub, and I respectfully ask that the boundary lines be held off so that children currently enrolled in school can stay in that school until they would have left. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Haid, is there any chance I could have a timer put up, please? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And I'll see that everyone gets a copy of any material that we don't have full copies of. All right. Next, Tracy Jacobs and Jim Jacobs. Jim and Tracy Jacobs. Excuse me? Sorry? That's a U.S.?
Yes. I'm Tracy Jacobus. We're from the Williamsport area, and the proposed redistricting plan will affect my family in many ways. The recommendation number 12 has brought on several emotions for us, including sadness, anger, and frustration. My husband and I researched the school districts very carefully before deciding that Williamsport was the place we wanted our children to live and attend school, as it was one of the best in the area at that time. 17 years ago, we purchased our home and we built our lives around Williamsport. We have 4 children, and our youngest one is in 2nd grade. We have been active in the school for the past 14 years, having 1 or 2 children attending each year. We have spent much energy, time, and money as we worked closely with the school as volunteers, chaperones, and PTA members, as well as helping with fundraising events. We have grown to know and trust the faculty through the many years with working with them. It is disheartening that students from other districts, the majority of them being from the magnet program, are able to stay, and our children are being forced into another school. We have academic, social, and personal concerns for our child. Academically, the children are being moved into a school that is not updated as Williamsport Elementary. An open classroom is not a good match for my son. He will have many more distractions to handle, which would be difficult for him, and we anticipate that he will lose focus more often and possibly slow his learning. It will be difficult for us to start all over again at developing relationships with teachers for only the 2 years he would be there. Socially, our children have always been involved in activities the school has offered. They include talent shows, musical events such as the Cool Cats program. They had done the 101 Dalmatians in the Maryland Theater, the annual gymnastics show, basket bingo, and sock hops, walkathons, and harvest events. The list does not stop there as we continue to look back over all that we've been involved with over the years. Our concern is that these special opportunities will not be as abundant and will be missed as for the children who are being sent to attend Fountain Rock. Personally, our schedule will be disrupted as their school day has an earlier arrival and departure time than Williamsport. It will leave us making decisions on what to do with him before or after school, something that we don't have to worry about in his current schedule. We are thankful that he has been able to stay at Williamsport next year. He has made many friendships in his years at Williamsport. He would have to leave his school as a fourth grader only to return 2 years later and try to establish previous or new friendships. As I stated previously, it's very heartening to have out-of-district children attending and displacing our children. We would rather our child be in a portable at Williamsport Elementary than anywhere else in the county. Please carefully consider other options before separating these students from the place they truly belong, and you can surely find enough room at Williamsport for such a small amount, which is estimated at 35 students. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Just to add, okay, just to add to what my other half has mentioned, most would say my better half. My name is Jim Jacobus, and I'm a resident of Sterling Oaks Development right down the road here. And as my wife mentioned, we have a son who currently attends Williamsport Elementary, so that's the boundary issue we want to address is recommendation number 12. And as you know, this proposal is proposing to move approximately 35 students who attend Williamsport Elementary over to Fountain Rock, beginning in the 2016-17 school year. I understand the intended purpose of this is to alleviate overcapacity enrollment at Williamsport Elementary, and I've been to many FIAC meetings and I've listened to what they've had to say, and I know they also have told me they want to quote-unquote populate Fountain Rock Elementary. Now, obviously, I'm opposed to this. We had gathered signatures on a petition. We had 16 parents in our neighborhood sign it. We submitted it to FIAC. Hopefully you received that. If you didn't, we can forward that to you. And as my wife mentioned, I have 3 older children who attended Williamsport Elementary for all their school years. We've been there 14 years. I feel that the faculty, administration, and the staff at that school are exceptional in the education and the support they provide to our students. As my wife mentioned, the many extracurricular activities. So to sum it up, we're very pleased, and we've been very involved in the school. Now, by relocating my son and other students from our neighborhood to Fountain Rock, you will be taking them away from their peers in the Williamsport community with whom they've forged bonds with. Now, another thing here is Williamsport Elementary was last renovated in 2003, so we virtually have a modern school by most standards. Fountain Rock, on the other hand, was built in 1970, and with the exception of a cafeteria addition back in 2009, it's my understanding there have not been any significant renovations to modernize that facility. So unlike all the other proposals that are on the table tonight, where the kids would be moving into a newer modern school in most cases, we would not be. So unlike the kids that are would be going to the Hager Elementary School. And the open classroom at Fountain Rock does concern me because, as we know, that was an experiment in the 1970s that most of us will agree probably did not go well and we're still living with today. And my wife had also mentioned about the work schedules. Now I want to touch on, just real quick, how do we get to this point at Williamsport Elementary? Okay, we have a magnet program there, which I'm not attacking the magnet program. We had 2 students go through it. I think it's a great opportunity for kids, but it's my understanding that most of the students in this program are out of the Williamsport or do not live in the Williamsport attendance zone. So this means our kids would have to be forced to go to another school for kids that don't live in the zone or in the district. And again, I'm not attacking the magnet program, but I would like them to seriously look at that. It is causing capacity problems at our school, but I don't think it should be at the expense of longtime students and families. And I've actually heard from one teacher that some of them feel that they're focused on filling the seats right now any way they have to. That's all I'll say about that. Now, here's another way we got to this point. A redistricting move that took place several years ago, I don't remember exactly, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Several students off Route 63 were moved into the Williamsport zone from Conicajig Elementary. And there was a proposal by FIAC on the table to try to relocate those kids up to the Hager Elementary, but that was taken off the table, I was told, because they don't want to risk overpopulating Hager Elementary. I would feel that would be a better option because those kids feed back into the Clear Spring district anyway. They're the only kids at Williamsport Elementary that do not feed into Springfield Middle and Williamsport Elementary. The rest of it's a pure feeder pattern otherwise. Now here's a couple things I want to mention too. Right now where I live, our school is approximately my house is approximately 2 miles from Williamsport Elementary. We're almost 4 miles from Fountain Rock. The area that I just mentioned off of Route 63 is almost exactly as close to Hager Elementary, the site of it, as they are to Williamsport. Now let me state this too. Williamsport Elementary has a state rated capacity currently of 570. The current enrollment as of September, or as of this past fall, was 585. That may have fluctuated a little bit since then, I don't know. Last year at this time, our enrollment there was 621. So from last year to this year, we saw a decrease of 36 students, which is about 6% of what that population was. Currently, right now at the school, we have a large 4th and 5th grade group. Now, by the time this proposal takes place, both of those groups will have transitioned over to the middle school. And the grades coming up behind them right now, kindergarten through 2nd specifically, are not as large. I've checked into the numbers. I've talked to teachers. I know how many they have. Now, here's the reason why I'm almost done.
Yes.
The incoming kindergarten classes over the next few years, and I'm predicting, are likely to be smaller for several reasons. These are the kids coming in that were born back during the recession in the late or the early 2010s, I guess it was. The economy was bad. Birth rates went down nationally. When the economy is bad, people don't have kids. They hold off on families. So, and that was a fact. The birth rate in the country went down to record numbers in like a century, I think. And right now in the Williamsport zone, there's no current housing developments proposed. So there's no major startups. And the fact that the job market in Washington County is still weak is probably going to prevent a large amount of migration in here the next couple of years. So what this translates into is that at Williamsport Elementary and maybe some of these other schools that are affected, we could see a gradual decrease and stabilization in some of the enrollment in those schools, making at least this proposal unnecessary. So what I'm asking is, since this enrollment at Williamsport may likely trend downward because of this, I'm asking that the board either vote against recommendation number 12, or if you're not willing to do that, maybe table that option for right now and wait until the fall enrollment numbers come in, because I could probably predict that your numbers are going to go down. We went down 36 students from last year. It's probably going to trend down more. Right now we're 15 students over capacity. So this particular section may work itself out. It may work itself out without this. So I'm asking again that you wait, table that particular recommendation, maybe wait till the fall. That will still give them plenty of time if they do have to put that in place. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for you to know, and everyone else in the room, that all the information that FIAC gathered over their entire process, we all have access to. And so any paperwork, any information, what you have with you today, if you'd like to get copies of that to the board in the next few days, that would be appreciated.
Is email a good way to do that?
It is. That would be perfect. And staff in the back, if you need that email address or whatever, they'll, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. You okay? You need a break? You'll let me know? Okay. Thank you. All right. Gonna have to guess on this one. I think it's Walsh. We're looking at, I believe it's Hasty Drive. You were the fourth to sign up. And I'm sorry, but it's just very hard to read. 15906. Hasty Drive. I can't read it. No one, I'll go back around. We'll move on to Stephanie Pulver. Harp Road. Okay, and you're Stephanie. Thank you. Johnson on Greencastle Pike. Welcome, sir.
Joe Johnson of Hagerstown. My son attends Malkinsville Elementary. He's currently in the first grade. Came here tonight under the assumption that some people would be excited about the redistricting. Doesn't sound like that's the case. I share what they feel. I'm not excited either. We moved where we moved a year and a half ago to Greencastle Pike because of the school district. Mulligansville Elementary is a great school. I want my son to continue to go to Mulligansville Elementary. I don't think pulling him out halfway through and sending him to another school is a good idea. I can't see where that's going to benefit him. I don't have a big long speech. That's basically all I wanted to say. So,
take your time if you want to share. You have a few more minutes.
No, that's it. Just wanted to express my feelings on the redistricting. Not happy about it. I don't want it to happen. I want him to stay in Mulligansville.
Understand, sir. Thank you very much
Okay.
for taking the time to be with us. Okay. Kim Palm, welcome.
Hi, my name is Kim Palm, and I'm a parent of 3 boys who go to the Ruth M. Monroe Eastern Elementary area, and I would just like to, I also am not a fan of the redistricting. One of the proposals is talking about making Ruth M. Monroe and Eastern both a K through 5 school, and I love having a primary school. I wish everybody could have a primary school. I love going into the school and having everybody thinking like a 7 and under would think like, because wow, it's different. And I would, and I like that atmosphere. So my first concern would be not to split the schools, and if the schools still get split, my second concern is that Ruth M. Monroe is just a nicer facility. It has a nice playground. It has 2 nice playgrounds with equipment. Eastern has like a steel bar and some blacktop. Ruth M. Monroe is light and bright. It has lots of windows, and it's a nice environment to learn in. I understand that the staff is the most important thing, but it's also nice to be at a school that just feels welcoming. And that's all I had.
Thank you so much. We've had a couple additional names. Suzanne Tonelli.
First, I want to thank you all for the time that you've put into the careful consideration that I saw when I read through all of the redistricting proposals that you were putting forth. And I'm sure that obviously you're trying to solve a problem, and I appreciate that. And obviously not everybody is always going to be happy with everything that goes along with that, but I appreciate what you're trying to do. And I think that most of them are carefully considered and are the right thing to do. I just had a few comments and then a few quick questions. One of them is I wanted, kind of reiterating actually what the woman before me just said, is my child went through Ruth M. Monroe when it was a pre-K to 2 school. She was there for kindergarten, first grade, and I didn't really have any previous, K through 2 or not, it didn't matter to me going into that, but having a child there, I really learned to appreciate having my kindergartner and my first grader in only K through 2 school. The buses were combined, and just in that little, just in the time that they were combined with Eastern, my daughter would come home with not positive things that she would pick up solely on the bus, and I was glad that that was limited just to the bus. And then also, having been active on the PTA, we could do a much better job tailoring all of our programs and activities to a K through 2 environment as opposed to K through 5th grade. And there was a lot of work, and there was only a few people, who were really trying to do all that work, and I felt like we could do a much better job focusing that on a more narrow age group, and I feel like it would be the same thing at Eastern, to be able to do a grades 3 through 5. And also, while my daughter was at Ruth M. Monroe, they had to add added several classes because some of the class sizes were getting too big, and I thought that was good and that you'd have more options when if you have 9 classes that are all large, it's a lot easier to add a 10th class and take a few from each, as you go to the next grade, as opposed to if you only have three classes in one school, and they each have 25 students, well, to add a 4th, it's not as strong of a point. So I thought that I liked having kind of the expertise of those small grades in both schools, so that so that I felt like it would give the staff more flexibility, and they could have a team of first grade teachers, a team of second grade teachers, and really focus in on being specialists of those ages and those groups. And I hadn't thought of it before, but to the woman's point before me of, that the schools might not kind of be created equal, then all students would have the opportunity, okay, you get K through 2 here and you get 3 through 5 there, and it's actually more fair. And I'm completely from my kid in the redistricting. My second child would go to Ruth Ann Monroe, so I'm not even I'm not even trying to petition to get my student out of Eastern or anything like that. So that was one of my points. So I was wondering if there were any. I saw a lot of advantages to keeping the 2 schools separate, and I was wondering if there were any advantages that I wasn't seeing of the redistricting proposal of separating them out, besides that the buses would only have to go to 1 school instead of 2. Because to me, if there's not something that I'm missing, then I think that the 2 schools should be kept separate. So I was wondering if there was something that I was missing in other advantages that I didn't see for that. The other comment and kind of question that I wanted to make is I have many friends that are in the autism community, and I've heard from many of them that the facilities at Ruth Ann Monroe are significantly better for their autistic kids than over at Eastern. For instance, there's a sensory room in Ruth Ann Monroe where the students can go and get kind of fulfill some of their needs for that, and the situation at Eastern is not nearly that case. So I don't have my children fortunately don't have autism, but it's such a I see it in so many parents as just strain for themselves and so much pain for them to know that they're worried about their students going over there where they don't have the options to, I view those kids as ones, they need a little extra. And Ruth Ann Monroe was really built with those students in mind, and the ones that I know of that have transferred over haven't been doing well. And then to see the other parents whose students are younger and and going to be going into that progression, it's kind of just taking a vulnerable group of students and putting them into a less than ideal situation. And honestly, I would rather my neurologically normal kids, be moved to Eastern and keep the kids who really need it at Ruth Ann Monroe, because, for instance, they have the enclosed playground, and some of the playground equipment that there is specialized for special needs kids. And so I think it would be great if all of the autism kids could be kept at Ruth Ann Monroe, regardless of what situation happens with the rest of the schools. That's all.
and I appreciate it. And you have some very valid questions, and I would ask that maybe Dr. Michael in the back, if you would walk to the back, might address some of those. Again, it's not our role tonight to get into a question-answer, but I would say with the autism and any special needs student, the resources follow the student. We have every expectation that our staff and our schools offer equal resources when children need that extra.
I realize that they try. I've heard from several things like the fenced-in playgrounds that don't exist, and I like not fenced-in playgrounds so that way kids can play there on the weekends too. I think there's pros and cons. So especially the 2 schools being so closely, side by side. Great, let's fence in one. Let the kids that have a tendency to run, go to school there, and let the other one across the street open, and for the community for kids to play there on Saturday and Sunday. To me, it seems like a good compromise. But thank you for your time.
Dr. Michael will speak to you in the back. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Valencia. Welcome, sir.
I'm going to be very brief. My name is Fernando Valencia. I live in 11041 Sunny Lane in Hagerstown, Maryland. That's Black Rock Estates. And my wife and I took the time to review your proposal. And we just want to come over here today and just to show support to your proposal. So we understand, the reasoning, and, we just want to come and say that we support it. Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time, sir. Thank you. Okay, now that concludes with those who have signed in, and really I'm just going to ask if there's anyone to my right over here, any of these rows, anyone who would like to come up and share any good, bad, ugly comments, concerns? Yes, ma'am. Would you like to come forward, please? And would you give us your name for the record?
Danielle Kretzer.
Kretzer. Could you spell that, please?
Kretzer.
Thank you.
I currently live on Point Salem Road, and my son goes to Morgansville. And we would very much like to keep our son in Morgansville. I don't feel that him changing schools would be a benefit for him. Not only will it impact him, I think, educationally. He'll be used to the teachers there. He works great with the teachers there, and I feel that their quality over there. But it'll also impact our childcare. All our childcare is in Morgansville, and that's something. If I could drive them to school, if that was an option, we can get them to school. But our after-school care is all in Morgansville, like every option that we have. And also another impact is his Little League. He currently plays Little League in Morgansville, and should he have to change schools, he'll no longer be able to play Little League in Morgansville. And anybody that's played ball knows it's nice to stay with your teams and grow up with your teams, and having to change all of that midway is going to be a tough change. And I know he's one of those children, like as I was, it's hard to make a change when you hit third, fourth grade. And I just wanted to give my opinion that I think there's a small number of kids on our street. There's 2, and I think we should have the option of being able to stay in Morgansville, even if it included us driving the kids over there. That I think we should be able to have that option.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else over in this side of the auditorium? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Crystal Sprecher. My son currently attends Conacajig Elementary School. I was unaware previously of all the other meetings you held until I got this one from the school about realignment. He will, from what I'm told, new Jonathan Hager Elementary School. I have talked to a couple of the teachers, and some of them has the same concerns that I do. It's more or less the list I got from the school last week does not even list National Pike or Route 40 on here. There's a recommendation number 2, number 5, and number 6. The biggest concern I have is pulling the country kids when they're apt to their environment, used to the teachers. I know Conacajig Elementary is an older school, but when you move them from their environment that they're in now into a whole different environment, I look for conflict to happen. My son gets 3s and 4s in his class, and I hope they will not drop when he does get shifted in there. I have also heard that you're moving Conacajig. At one time was Winter Street, but that might have got changed to Salem Avenue. Both schools are overcrowded into the new Jonathan Hager Elementary School. Plus the development back there, once that's done, over half the school will be walk-in students. I just don't quite understand why you're moving 2 schools plus that environment there, or development, into one school that in a year or 2, it's going to be overcrowded again. Now, I've been in Conacajig. I'm on the PTA. I'm really close to the teachers. I keep informed with teachers there, the principal, know first name basis almost. I just hate to see moving the kids where they got their friend base to split them up to Morgansville, moving them to the new Jonathan Hager Elementary School. I guess I'm just lost in the concept that you all are trying to do. I know it's better education for the kids, but I can see more conflict than anything. I've had friends that has daycare in that area. They moved to that area for the Clear Spring Elementary, Conacajig, because the schools are good there. And now some of the parents I talked to is upset because they moved there for those schools, and now they're going to get all shifted around. Some of them's going to Morgansville. You're splitting up the friends that the students does have there. So my biggest concern is going to this Jonathan Hager Elementary, which big progress going on there, I must say. But I'm just afraid the environment, mixing the two schools, is going to cause a lot of conflict in their education. And that's
Thank you for sharing. Did you have an opportunity to meet with staff in the back?
No, I haven't. I kind of got here a little late.
And that's perfectly fine. A suggestion when you're finished with your comments, if you are, is step in the back, and there's a couple gentlemen back there that will help explain where there's a map where you live and where you would be going to, and you are aware that Conacojig is closing?
Yes, I am aware of that.
And Winter Street.
Yes.
So this is the opportunity of redistricting to basically fill the new school, Jonathan Hager, with the closure of those two schools. So, but they will go over everything with you if that might help you with some understanding, but we've certainly noted your concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
My name is Gail Stewart, and my youngest child
Excuse me, Gail Stewart?
Yes, ma'am. My youngest child is currently a freshman at North High. I don't anticipate that to change. However, I do have a grandson in first grade.
I'm sorry, could you speak up a little bit? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Speak into
Okay,
the
is that
mic.
better?
Thank you. Yes,
All right,
ma'am. Thank
start
you.
again. Okay, my name is Gail Stewart, and my youngest child is a freshman at North High. I don't anticipate that to change, but I have a grandson who's in first grade. I've heard over the past 3 or 4 years a lot of these changes that are implemented. As a matter of fact, our elementary students now go to Ruth Ann Monroe instead of Fountaindale. So I know that's supposed to be changing again, but I'm not sure when or how. But I do want to say I know you put a lot of effort into all the strategies to see where the trends are. And I just want to show my support for the Board of Education.
Thank you very much. And again, the staff in the back would be happy to show you exactly where those changes are if you have not been able to meet with them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else over on this side of the room? Okay. Shifting over. Anyone on this side? Okay. I would encourage, if you have any further questions, this is a great opportunity to find your home on the map and let staff help you with any further understanding, questions, concerns, any comments that you think of after you leave the room. Please feel free to send those in. As a reminder, the Board of Education is expected to vote on these recommendations on June 2nd. The changes approved for boundary realignment will go into effect for the 2016-2017 school year. Following tonight's hearing, any comments or questions may be submitted to the Public Information Office by emailing Richard Wright. Is Richard in the room? Okay, he's out in the lobby. At wrighc@wcps.k12.md.us. Or you can call us at 301-766-2809, and certainly you're welcome to mail your written comments to 10435 Downsville Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. Now, there is an appeal process in accordance with Administrative Regulation JCA-R. Within 5 business days from the date the board votes to accept a recommendation regarding changes in attendance areas, any interested parent or resident may appeal in writing by a timely notice to the president of the board. The parent and/or resident shall state in writing specific objections to the board's decision and the basis for those objections. The board shall, within 5 business days of said written objection, respond in writing to those objections. Any further right to appeal will be to the State Board of Education as provided by 4205 of the Education article. So unless someone is going to raise their hand at this point, we are going to conclude this public hearing. And thank you so much for being in attendance tonight.